Hey, welcome back to Project Me. It's day 66 or something or other, and today we're going to do some goal setting. This is something I think is really, really important, purely because it means you're always moving forward in the direction, ideally, that you want to be moving in. And I can't wait to do it. I try to do it twice a year, and I've realized I've never done a video on it. So I thought, why not? Why not start now? I'm also going to be writing them down as we go, just because I find that writing things down gets them stuck in my head a little bit better. So if I can remember these goals, that makes it all the easier at the end of the day. Right, so I'll just briefly explain the framework that we're going to use to set these goals, and then after that we'll get into the actual goal setting part and making them up. So I use this really good system, this really good framework by a man called Sahil Bloom. So totally stolen from him. He's a really good guy when it comes to productivity, just general good ideas as well. Big fan. I'm on his newsletter, read it as much as I can. Would recommend. So this is his idea, not mine. But the idea is around 4 types of goals. So first you have your big goals. These sort of follow key themes. So in my case, we're going to do 2 themes. Personal and professional. This video is just going to be professional because I don't think we've had time for both. Your big themes sort of fall under those, so your big goals fall under those themes. These are 1 to 3 specific and measurable goals within each of those categories. And it's essentially, what do I want to have achieved at the end of this period of time? That's really what you're asking yourself. And then under those big goals are checkpoint goals. These are 1 to 2 specific goals, checkpoints for essentially what do you need to have achieved in order to have reached your ultimate goal, right? So these are checkpoints. As you start here, you want to get here. Your checkpoint goals are the checkpoints on the way. And then underneath each of those checkpoints are the daily system goals, or your daily goals. These are the simplest daily actions that you can take every single day that create forward progress and momentum towards your checkpoint and your big goals. So you really just want, 1 to 3 of these goals for each checkpoint goal. They don't have to be measurable, but they should be specific. They don't have to be measurable because you measure them by doing them, right? You do them, you check them off, and that's how you measure how much you've done. It's pretty simple. And then the last type of goal is an anti-goal. This is an interesting one because you sort of invert the problem. What are the worst outcomes that could occur from you pursuing these goals? What could lead to that worst outcome? And you usually want, 1 to 2 big goals for each, 1 to 2 anti-goals for each big goal. But we'll come to that when we get there. It's an interesting one because it does require a little bit of creativity sometimes and thinking outside the box to get to what these might be. But they are really important as well. And we'll come to why. But let's start from the top. So again, this theme that we're going to be focusing on is professional. And it's professional or not academic because I want to keep a little bit of flexibility in there for any career things that might come my way. So I can add something to it under this category. But at the moment, the one big goal that we're going to be focusing on is academically related. So that is going to be our big goal for academia, is attain a GPA of 8 out of 9, which is an A in New Zealand, for trimester 2 of university. So I'm going to write that down. Attain a GPA of 8 out of 9, which is an A, brackets, for trimester 2. Awesome. It's specific. We know exactly what result we want to get. It's measurable because, well, I'll be able to know pretty easily if I don't get an 8 out of 9 for my GPA. And let's look at some checkpoint goals now. So what do I need to have achieved in order to reach this goal? So I've chucked down a few ideas already just to sort of, so I'm not doing the brainstorming process with you guys because it's a lot of just silent thinking, if I'm being honest. But by and large, I've thought about cheat sheets. What I've noticed when I study is that by the end of the trimester, when study break starts, I spend a lot of that time making a cheat sheet, right? Which is really good for studying, I won't lie. But if I could have that cheat sheet done by the time study leave begins, that leaves all that study time purely for past exams, which is, in my view, the best possible way of studying for exams. And most of my grades are exam-based. That's because active recall, doing past exams, being in the exam mindset puts you into, to a state of habit, which makes it really, really easy come exam to actually do what you've been doing for the last 2-3 weeks. So, the first checkpoint goal I want to do is finish my cheat sheet by the end of week 12. The end of week 12 is where the study leave begins. All right, finish cheat sheet by end of week 12. Okay, cool. Oh no, it looks like a 2, not 22, 12. Oh well. Okay. The next checkpoint goal I want to do is... This is a fairly obvious one. Some of my classes do have assignments throughout, so we're going to be aiming for a grade of at least an A on all of those assignments, right? So, achieve an average grade of 8 out of 9 A on all major assignments. Achieve an average grade of A or 8 out of 9 on all major assignments. Cool. Again, that'll just help make sure that we're cruising towards that goal, that big goal at the end of the year. Okay, the next big goal I want to do, I think this might be the last one. It's going to be staying up to date. It's a very simple one, but it actually gets really complex when you think about what goes into being up to date. So let's write that down into the checkpoint. Stay up to date on readings, lectures, and tutorials. Yes. Okay. Stay up to date on readings, lectures, and tutorials. Cool. All right. I don't have any more checkpoint goals to add, so let's just get right into the daily system goals. So again, what are the simplest daily actions we can take for each of these checkpoint goals? So start with the first one. Finish the cheat sheet by the end of week 12. A major part of this, I think, will be working on it throughout the trimester. So every week integrate that week's content into the cheat sheet. Yeah. Integrate content, integrate week's content into cheat sheet weekly. Okay, that's good. That's a good one. Okay. Can we make any other small goals for that? I don't think we can. I think that's enough to do that. So let's move on to the second goal, which is achieve an average grade of A, or 8 out of 9, on all major assignments. Okay, big one I think is going to be again time. So let's say we're going to begin all assignments 2.5 weeks before they're due. Yep. Begin all major assignments 2.5 weeks before they are due. Cool, that'll be good. That gives us lots of time, lots of breathing room to put in the quality that the assignments deserve. What else? Office hours. Use office hours to learn about expectations, perhaps. Yeah. Use office hours to learn about expectations and criteria. Okay, last checkpoint goal. Stay up to date on readings, lectures, and tutorials. So this one's really going to be one about scheduling. Oh, you know what? Come to think of it, I'm going to add another one under that first checkpoint goal of finishing the cheat sheet before week 12. Another daily goal we're going to add to it is review lecture and tutorial notes a short time after the lecture. Short time after. That'll be really good because it helps us again integrate that sort of information into our head. Okay, back to the third checkpoint. Stay up to date on readings, lectures, and tutorials. Every Sunday, we're going to plan our week. Around office hours, reading time, tutorial preparation, and lectures. Yeah. We're also going to spend at least 7 hours a day on campus, weekdays. Cool. I think that's going to be it. I can't think of anything else that I might want to include on these goals. But again, we've got our big goals, we've got our checkpoint goals, and we have individual daily goals for each of those. Briefly, for anti-goals, I want to make this very, very, very brief. We're going to sort of turn the problem upside down. Let's say I achieve every single one of these. What problems might come up from me working this hard? Well, first of all, I might sacrifice my health, my physical health, my mental health to get ahead or to stay up to date. Right? So that's the worst outcome, right? Or I might isolate myself in order to push myself forward. Again, another worst outcome. Very, very similar though. Okay, so how can we fix this? At least one day, full break. Every Saturday. Every Saturday, no work. So let's try that. Anti-goal. I think that'll be good. Recover health. Recover mental and physical. Alright, that'll be it. We're going to leave it right there because this video is already so long. I wish you all the very best in this coming week. Take care, guys. Cheers.